afternoon. I'm Dan Sweet. I'm with Helicopter Association International, and we are at Helicopter Association International Heli Expo in Anaheim, California. Joining me today is Mark Ogden. He's the editor of HeliOps magazine, an international magazine, and Mark, you're international yourself. You are the Salute to Excellence Award winner for Excellence in Communications, sponsored by Lightspeed Aviation this year. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Have you had a chance to look around the show floor and see everything?
Oh, yeah, spent the last couple of days wandering around.
Well, I know you've been to Heli Expo before because as the editor of HeliOps magazine, obviously you're always covering it as well. So let's get into some of your history. With over 20 years of being an editor dedicated to helicopter industry, how did you get into this line of work? Why helicopters?
It was interesting actually because I actually started out with a civilian license before I joined the Navy. And then when I was on course in the Navy, I was supposed to be posted to fixed wing. But they decided in the end to post me to helicopters, and it was a case of I really don't want to fly helicopters, being an 18-year-old. But once I got into helicopters, I found I actually really loved them. I was lucky that my instructors were ex-Vietnam pilots and instructors, and taught me how to fly below trees and all that sort of really fun stuff. And from then on, I've been hooked on helicopters, and over the time I've gone back to flying fixed wing on occasion, found it really boring, and I've always gone back to helicopters. So basically helicopters has been in my blood since I was probably 18 years old, 19 years old. And then finding my way into the magazine world was through a photograph that I sent to a magazine many years ago. And they said, great photograph, we want a story. So that's why I started writing stories, and I just continued on from there doing different sorts of stories. And then I joined HeliOps magazine about 20 years ago, and was given the job of being editor. And that's been a really interesting job, just being an editor of a magazine that's in an industry as dynamic and diverse as what this one is.
There are certainly a lot of changes on the horizon right now. Now, I've known you for probably about 20 years since you came into HeliOps. I don't think I ever know. Are you still current? Are you still flying today?
I'm not. My license is still current, but I'm not current. Every so often, the people who hand me the stick and the collective, I'm more than happy to fly.
Sounds nice. Nice. Now, you're known for your hard-hitting editorials focused on the analysis of the industry. What are a couple of your most challenging editorials, and what inspired you to write them?
I think the more challenging, in a general case, the more challenging editorials are when you're talking about a downturn in the industry, because you know it's not just the OEMs or the manufacturers that are going to suffer, it's the people who work in the industry, whether they're mechanics, loadmasters, pilots, they're all, all those sort of people that suffer when there's a downturn. So when you're analysing companies that are going through change and you actually write an editorial about it, you don't want to be negative. You want to try and be as positive as you can, and sometimes it's a bit hard to be positive, but you don't want to be negative, because I don't think that actually does anything for the industry to be negative.
Certainly. Now, aviation journalism is a niche in our industry. If somebody wanted to follow in your footsteps, what advice would you give to them?
I think it really helps that when you're in the industry that you're actually a participant in the industry. So again, you can be a pilot, you can be a manager, you can be a loadmaster. I think you need to have that involvement in the industry in the first place. And the second part, I think, is that you've got to learn to talk to the people in the industry. So it's a lot of fun to sit there and write about the machinery, but I think what's more important is to actually talk to the people, because there's a lot of stories in this industry that you don't realise how many stories there are until you talk to the people and you find their stories. And those stories are some of the most amazing stories you'll ever hear.
Everybody has a story in this industry. That's what makes it really fun.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Congratulations again.
Thanks very much.
Look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thanks very much.